What's up, guys? This is Matt Peel. First of all, I want to say thanks for bringing me into the second round and giving me another chance to talk to you guys about some of my ideas and what I think I can bring to the table. So I'm going to get right into it. This is my blog post ideas and headline tests. I had trouble choosing three, but I did, and the first one I chose is the inspirational post. So the title that I chose for this post is the secret polyglots aren't telling you. And that secret, in my opinion, is that learning a language, just like everything else, is hard work. There's no shortcuts, there's no cheating. You have to put in hard work and it takes time. That polyglots aren't geniuses, they're not special, they're just people who have done hard work. I want to base this post on an interview with Idausa that I would like to do and talk to him about how he went from being a classic monolingual American only speaking English to speaking multiple languages with a native level accent and being able to teach other people how to learn languages. I think it would be inspiring to people, just show them that they can do the same thing that Idausa and so many others have done if they want to put the work in. The next post is off-topic post. I want to do a post about freestyle rap. I'd like to, mention Idausa's Facebook Live video about freestyle rap where he was rapping in multiple languages and kind of give a short explanation of his tutorial, if you will, on freestyling, and then kind of give the concept of freestyle rapping being an exercise or a practice activity for your foreign language, for your target language, as a way to practice syntax and get comfortable with vocabulary and forming sentences quickly and off the top of your head. The title that I gave to that article is Rap Your Way to Fluency. The third post that I would like to do is the contest post. I would want to run a contest asking for short videos of how people learn languages, to say, hey guys, this is how I'm learning Chinese, this is a tour of Chinatown where I am, or this is a tour of a local ethnic grocery where I go and shop and have conversations with people, or a coffee shop where I have a friend who I talk to in his language, things like that. Take all those, or maybe it's just the academic approach that somebody has if they don't have a lot of opportunity to have those conversations. So take all those videos, post them on the website, and then select a winner and give that winner a free copy of a mimic method course of their choice, and then write up a blog post about it and talk about the various ways of learning languages, etc. So that is my three blog post ideas and headlines. I'm going to move on to the video outlines of Idausa's videos, articles I would write based on those. The first one, the gut, brain, heart video. So for my article, I would start out with an intro, give a basic explanation of the importance of having a good teacher in learning anything, and how, like Idausa said, all teachers are not equal, and then go into these three characteristics that Idausa talked about. First being gut. I would explain how teachers need to have this instinctual, intuitive understanding of how a process works. They need to be really, really good at it and have just a feel for a process and be masters of that process in order to teach it. So my question for Idausa regarding that would be, how do you find somebody like that? How do you recognize out of the crowd somebody who has those characteristics, who is really, really good? How do you determine who is and who isn't? And then what are maybe some red flags that would make you think that somebody maybe does not have that characteristic, who maybe other people think that they do? The second characteristic, my third point on the outline, is brain. Idausa talked about how just because somebody's good at something, even really, really, really good at it, doesn't mean they can teach it. They need to understand it in a really complex way to be able to teach it to students. And as an example, I would talk about how most top-level professional athletes don't ever become coaches and vice versa, because those athletes don't necessarily understand their skills deeply enough to teach it to someone else. So my question here would be, how do you tell the difference between someone who is just a master of their skill versus someone who understands it well enough to teach it to students? How do you differentiate those people without spending 100 hours actually learning from them and then having to start all over with a different teacher? The third characteristic, fourth point on my outline, was heart. He also talked about the need for a teacher to have empathy and understanding for individual students. Individual students need different teaching methods, different teaching styles, and a teacher needs to be able to accommodate to those various learning style differences. Students are motivated by different things. Students want to learn different things in different ways, and if a teacher doesn't have that empathy, that accommodation to adapt to the needs of students, then they're not going to be able to teach a variety of students, and they're not going to be able to connect with a variety of students on their own level. So my question for Idausa would be, how do you approach a teacher in such a way as to find out whether they have that level of empathy without sounding selfish, bratty, without sounding like you're expecting them to give you more than they give to the average student? How do you present this question in a selfless way, in a humble way? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So then, end with a conclusion about, there's no perfect teacher. There's nobody who perfectly exemplifies each one of these traits. But if we really want to be long-term learners, we need to find teachers who can provide us with all three of those characteristics in our learning process. So my question for Idausa in this would be, what do you want readers to take away from this video? Are you trying to convince them that they need to find a really, really good teacher, the best possible teacher that they can, and not be willing to learn from anybody lesser? Or, I don't know, what's actionable about this? What are you expecting people to pull out of this and then proceed to use in their own language learning experience? That would be my question about that. Just an overarching question about the video. So next video was the focus on the process, not the outcome video. And this one, so is based on this interview with Chris Reynolds. So my intro would talk about the interview, what it was about, give a link, tell people to go there, explain how this interview inspired Idausa on this concept, and then I get right into it and talk about this dichotomy of having big ideas, big goals, long-term strategies versus daily strategies of process goals of how to eventually get to that long-term goal. Idausa talks about successful people putting their energy into perfecting the daily process of improvement and not focusing on how that's going to affect the long-term goal, but just focusing on getting better every single day. So I would like to ask Idausa, what should the learners use as a foundation to build this daily process? Because you talk a lot about needing to do something every day, do productive things every day. So how should they build that schedule, that repeatable pattern? Should they base it solely on their own thoughts on what they want to do, what feels natural to them? Should they base it solely on professional expert opinion? Should it be a combination of both? Does it even matter? I just would like to hear your opinion about that. So you talked about, what are you doing every day? That was a big theme. That's my third point in this outline, is people who do the right things and do those right things every day almost never fail. So if we are failing, we're probably either doing the wrong thing or not doing anything. So my question would be, how have you developed discipline to do these things every day? Because I think me and a lot of people struggle with willpower, with the just straight up desire every single day to get after it and put in the hard work to accomplish anything, language learning or anything else. So I wonder what your opinion is. There's a lot of, different opinions about cheating willpower, but with accountability and consequences, things like that. I wonder what your thoughts are on that. So you talk about ensuring that the process is connected with the outside world, making sure that you're being impacted by reality outside of yourself. Getting outside of yourself and having, especially in language learning, having conversations with people every day, doing difficult things every day so that you can improve. I'd like to hear some practical examples from you on what that looks like in the busy schedule of people like me who have a job and don't have 2 hours a day to focus on language learning. So, I conclude with this paragraph. What you do is important, but it's meaningless if you don't do it regularly, like you said. So I'm wondering, is that the takeaway you're looking for? That doing something regularly is almost even more important than what you do. That if what you do is decent and you do it every day, that's better than if what you do is really good and you don't do it very often. I just want to reiterate, make sure that was the takeaway that you were hoping for readers to get out of that. So that's my 2 video outlines. I'm going to quickly move on. I got 3 minutes left to look at my viral content post. So the post type I chose on the viral content post is the Ask 3 experts, 3+ experts, and aggregate. The headline that I chose for this article is how 5 language experts would spend 30 minutes a day. So in this post, I would like to send out just a simple question to a lot of language experts, which is, if you had 30 minutes every day to learn a language from ground zero, how would you spend that time? I think this is a really big issue for me and a lot of people, because a lot of times we just don't know where to start with language learning. We don't know how to spend 30 minutes a day. It just doesn't seem like enough, and we need help with that. I think it would really be a springboard of ideas to help people like me, people that are our readers, to develop a pattern, a schedule that they can follow every day to make actual real progress. So production outline. First step, obviously, get in contact with language experts. I'm thinking people like Benny Lewis, Luca Lampariello, Gabriel Weiner, obviously Dowsa. I would want his opinion in here. But part of my research would also be finding other experts that I think their opinion would be valuable. From that point, it would be pretty simple. Once I got all their comments back, I would read them extensively, see what things they have in common, what things are contrasting, what things are outliers, take into account all these different methods. I would look at differentiation between different types of students, different goals of students, to see if more academic goals versus more conversational goals make a difference in what the language expert would come back and suggest. So then step 3, take all these quotes, get them together into a readable format that I can put into a blog post, link their websites, link their social media accounts so that readers can get to their pages. Then obviously I need to create the actual framework of the article, write the intro, write the conclusion, and what I think is one of the most important parts is a reaction to the experts' information. I'd like to distill all their information into a list to get some of the commonalities of their suggestions together into a list for the readers to have an easy, quick takeaway. I'd also, be plugging in mimic method ideas about accent training, making sure that got repeated in case it wasn't really brought up that much by the experts. And then, obviously at the end I would need a conclusion, ask people for comments, ask people what they think about what the experts say, what they think about methods that have worked for them in the past, things like that. So I'm at the end of my 15 minutes, so I'm going to respect your all's time and cut myself off, but that is my evaluations, my blog post outlines. So I appreciate your all's time, and I look forward to hearing back from you. Thanks.